Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Great. Hello, we are today in our monthly teacher's talk. So I am Ruan and I am from Egypt and I will be the host today. So hello from all over the world. Second. So here our Station Club, which is a non-profit community of practicing English language teachers from all over backgrounds and all over the world, providing our discussion rooms and workshops. So it's also an Indonesian foundation concerning education and sustainable development goals in general. And it's Selva Muslivi, and here are our teachers talks, teachers of the world, which is a discussion forum between the English language teachers in Indonesia and worldwide, which aims at promoting peer discussion, reflective practice, and recently intercultural awareness. It's also held once a month and is open for everyone around the globe. And we have a lot of recordings on YouTube, and you can see the videos from the link provided here. And let's introduce our dear facilitators. Women, the first ladies first is Liz Hall. She taught English in Japan for about 12 years, mostly at the primary and university levels, and she's currently working in the curriculum development. She holds a master's in TOEFL, and her current topics of interest in technology and the English Foreign Language Classroom and the Classroom Management for Young Learners, and Mr. Richard Buckley, who is a guidance counselor at the University of Wales, Trinity, St. David, United Kingdom. He has a Master of Education in Education Leadership and Management with Open University in the United Kingdom. He taught English with the British Council and the university level. He also holds the Cambridge Delta, and his current projects, bilingual English and Welsh projects on the mental health. And Ms. Les, the floor is yours, and welcome to our talk.
Sorry, thank you so much, Juan. Everybody, please let me know if you have any trouble hearing me. Sometimes my internet goes out, so I hope it won't. So let's see. So welcome to our first session of 2023 on designing a virtual education program. I'm excited to hear what Levy's going to tell us today, and I'm sure you are too. Before we get to Levy's wonderful talk, we have a few things to go over. So I will go over them quickly. So first we have our introduction. So today's presenter is Leviana Vinanda, the founder of My English Club, and the reason we're all here. She's a wonderful human, as we all know. She's an English language teacher who mainly works with adolescent learners. She has her MA in ELT from the University of Southampton in the UK. And her academic and professional interests included culture and language, the use of English globally, multilingualism, and technology-enhanced language learning. So just a few things to cover with you before we start. So right now we're in our opening and introduction section of our talk. Next, we'll have Levy's presentation, and it's a flash presentation. So it will only last for about 15 minutes because the point of the flash presentation is to ignite our discussion. So we will have a discussion in breakout rooms after the presentation for about 20 minutes. We'll have some questions for you, and you'll have a chance to join some groups to talk together and discuss, and that'll be a really good time for us. And at that time, a representative from each group will share some of the main points of the breakout room. So then we'll have a 10-minute review from Richard, and then after that, we will wrap things up. So I'm sure you're all ready to hear from Levy. So, oh, wait, I think I have one more. Yes, I do. One more small, a little more information. So everybody, please check your name on Zoom and make sure it's the name that you would like to be called. Please remain in mute mode during the presentation and the sharing session after the breakout room discussion if you're not talking. If possible, please turn on your video if you can, and have an exciting and productive discussion. And as you know, this is being recorded also. Okay, so Levy, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Liz, for the kind introduction. So hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here to join us in our first sessions in 2023. Now I would like to share my screen. I would like to share with you about designing a virtual exchange program, something that is very dear to my heart in the past few years, for academically and also professionally. So can I check if everyone can see my screen? Yes, okay. I will present it in the bigger view there. Okay. Yeah, so what I'm about to share today, as we always do in Teachers Talk flash presentations, is basically something that rooted in our own practice. But in this case, it's also my own research, my classroom-based research. So this is what I'm going to, what I'm about to share with you is basically how to design the task and some insight how to do it. Okay. So in these presentations, I will share about what is why is the virtual exchange. I'm sure that many of you here has done virtual exchange, or maybe will do it in a near future. But I think we can just go through very quickly to recall the memory of what and why is the virtual exchange and why it matters, and then how to design the virtual exchange program. We will see some insight from my best practice and also some insight from the research and the literature. Okay, so based on some, I will go very quickly here. Yeah, so this is based on various resources. So the virtual exchange is basically a practice which is supported by research, and it consists of sustained technology-enabled and people-to-people education programs. It usually takes place between individuals or groups, and in our case, it's likely to be our own students. Who are geographically separated and usually come from a different cultural and language backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds. So yeah, it combines the deep impact of the intercultural dialogue. I think it's something that comes really naturally, because when you do a virtual exchange and put the students from a different cultural and linguistic background, and of course, there will be some kind of intercultural dialogue and exchange there. And there's an involvement of a broad reach of the digital technology, which makes the virtual exchange something that is really, really good, I think, for a learning process, because it can enable various skills at the same time beyond just the linguistics skills. And what is really matters is, if you can see at the very below, the support of the educators or us as the teachers. That's what matters a lot, because our role here as a designer and also the facilitators for the program that can make the exchange become the learning intake for the students. And why I promote this, and why I would suggest you to do that if you haven't done so, if you haven't done one, because it can engage learners in authentic communications, something that has been the barrier of the traditional classroom, because we can give the context to our learners on to speak English, let's say, because they will meet the other students from the other linguistic backgrounds who have the different culture L1 with them. So then they have to pick another language, and in this case, that will be English. And it can develop the learner's autonomy, because many virtual exchange programs also involve some out of the class activity. And it can empower and innovate the foreign language classroom. And of course, it can increase the multimodal communicative competence because of the involvement of the various model of the digital platforms. Okay. So yeah, so this is the insight from my own experience and my own experiments in my classroom. There are at least 4 things that I usually think about when I want to design a virtual exchange program. The first one, of course, is to start with the objectives. That's what I usually do. Why do I want to do this? What is the purpose of my students? So I always start with that. Why it matters for my students, and what kind of the activities that they would like to do in this program. And then after that, I will go to think about the topic, and usually the topic will be the extensions of the existing curriculum and the syllabus. And yeah, this is just to maintain the relevance between what's already running, already happening in the classroom with this enrichment activity. And I would also use some personal topics, basically to build rapport. And yeah, something like food, fashion, and some hobbies and interests is something that the students usually like to talk about, and it can make them really connect to each other. In my case, I use hobby and interest, and I use the topic self-expressions, because my students are a secondary level of educations. So they would love to talk about themselves, and they build the rapport with their peers. In my last virtual exchange, it was with the Russian students, and I found out that many of them are big fan of manga, which is the Japanese style comics, if you know that one. Yeah, so it's really popular between the students in Indonesia and also in Russia. So they build this rapport from this very topic. And then it depends on the objectives. In my case, my objective was to promote the learners' intercultural awareness. So I also involved some topic that explicitly have intercultural notes in it. It was folk tales, as you can see here, and also stereotypes topic. That's two topics with like the specialized topic that I had in my last exchange in 2021. And the second thing that I thought about was the platform. I would suggest to vary the platform to respond to different learning styles, and also to ensure the various affordance that goes beyond the language learning. And also we need to ensure that the platforms are accessible, not just for the teachers, and I mean not just for the students, but also for us the teachers, and it has to go for both sides, our side and also the partner side. So in this case it's very important to maintain the good communications and collaborations with the partner teacher from the other side. Yeah, so they can they have to be our partner in doing this. And then of course and then the task, of course, I borrow here the term from Kurt Kahn, which is the blended approach, which consisting the pre, during, and post task. So instead of just thinking about what would happen during the live exchange, where the students meet like this online live, but we also need to think about what to prepare them before the encounter with the pre-task. And after that, after the exchange, we also need to do some post-tasks. And I really, I would argue that in this post-task, it's really important to allow the reflections on the students. They need to reflect on their own experience, on their own encounter. And in my case, I do that through reflection journal. So I ask my students to write a reflective journal every end of of a live exchange, beside the discussions, the class discussions. Yeah. And then you can get some inspirations from your own daily tasks. You can develop the kind of task or the activity based on what you have done in your own classroom. Or you can come to a forum like this, where you can meet the teachers from who has done this before, and then you can get the inspirations from them, the tasks from them. And finally, I put it really at the top here because I think this is really important, that to research and to reflect. So, but by the time I start to do my my virtual exchange program, start to design it, start to plan it, then at the same time I start to research it, and it's not as complicated as it might seem, because by research here, I basically just keep writing on this old-fashioned journal like this. So I keep writing on the ideas that come up in my mind, and or whatever concern or whatever observation. So I keep doing it. So I keep researching and reflect on this whole stage of starting from the planning to the implementations and after the program. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing to get that can be useful is also to get the insight from an existing literature. Here I use two. I suggest two, I think, to one model. Yeah, that is the model of the features influential task design in 2015 from Hofstadter and Kohn. And this is based on their empirical research on when they have this project with secondary school students. So this is not something just theoretical base, but this is something that is rooted from an empirical research. And these are some of the elements that we might need to think about when we want to design a virtual exchange program. It consists in topics, as we discussed earlier, and the other thing is the physical locations. I understand this as, for example, whether you want to your virtual exchange program just during your class time or after the class time, something like that. And also the platform, of course. TC is the telecollaboration tool, so they use the form, the term telecollaborations instead of the virtual exchange. And then also the blended learning ensemble here, yeah, which consisting the pre-task and then the during the live exchange task and also the post-task, and also the pedagogical constellation here. We might not have time to discuss what's the difference between the two, but you can always read it in their journal, which I'm going to give you the link after, in the next slides, yeah. And then in 2009, Odot, a scholar that researched intensively on this area, suggested, collecting some tasks here. So this is some of the example of the tasks. Like, for example, authoring the cultural autobiographies, carrying out the virtual interviews, and so on. And not only that, but they also give the descriptions of what you have to do with that task. Yeah, so it can be something that's quite useful if you would like to do your own virtual exchange. Okay, and we almost get to the end of my presentations. Okay, and yeah, so this is some of the useful websites and organization, people, and also the journals that or chapters that you can go through if you would like to get more insight and resources. For the websites, there are at least two that I put here, which is Evolve and Tekola. Both of them are a project for the secondary school students, and they have tons of resources for teachers if they want to make their own project. And for the organizations, there is there is Uni Collaborations and also IVE project. And I can see Eric Hagley actually from IVE joining us today. So hi Eric. Hi Eric, thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, if you are in the same breakout room with Eric, then you can ask more about his project. If I'm not mistaken, it is for the third level of education, yeah, for the university students, but maybe he will consider to do for the secondary school students. Eric, what do you think?
I'm really, really keen to set up secondary school projects as well, because it's a very important side of things. Up until now, particularly because I was based in Japan, before COVID, Japan was super scared of secondary schools students going online, but since COVID, everyone went online for education. So now they are a lot more open to virtual exchanges, and we have some ideas to set up a similar situation to what we have for tertiary, for secondary as well. So very keen to hear your ideas, and if I can be of assistance, I would be very happy to join.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Eric. So if you would like to have these links, then I will send these slides to you. So this has the link. So whenever you would like to check out all of this organization websites and everything, then you can just click on the link provided on the slides. Yeah. And yeah, for the journals and chapters, if you would like to learn more from the previous research and also the theories, and these are some of the journals. And for the people, there are many people, including Eric Hagley himself, also an academia who also works on this area a lot. I put 4 names here. Then if you would like to know more, then you can Google their names there. And yeah, I also have contributions. So I contribute in this book called Telecollaboration Applications in Foreign Language Classrooms, where I, so in chapter 12, this is a forthcoming book in 2023 this year by mid of the year, inshallah. So in this chapter, I explain, I describe and discuss a lot the full accounts of my process as a teacher researcher who design and also implements the virtual exchange in my own context. So if you would like to hear another perspective, then you might want to check this book chapter, but not now because it's forthcoming. Okay. Yeah, that's that will be all for me. Oh yeah, and this one, Professor Kortkon is someone that's, I mean, he's been my mentor, and he I think his work is quite influential for virtual exchange, especially in the lingua franca context. So if you would like to learn more, there's an opportunity in the webinar. It's called here, and this is the link for the registration if you'd like to register. That will be on March 22nd. But it's actually really late for us in Indonesia and in Japan, I think. And this is very, very late for us. But yeah, if you would like to come, then let's join. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to meet you in the breakout room, and you will surely learn from each other in the breakout room because many of you have done this before. So yeah, I'm looking forward to join you in the breakout room. Thank you very much. Liz, I'm sorry, actually, you're muted. Sorry.
I forgot to put myself on mute when I started, and then I muted myself, and I was so glad I remembered, and then I forgot to unmute myself. Oh well. So thank you so much, Levy. I really enjoyed your presentation. So everybody, I hope you're ready to go to the breakout rooms. And in your breakout rooms, you're welcome to get to know each other, discuss the topic based on your experience and your knowledge. We have some questions here for you. Have you done a virtual exchange program before? If you have not, are you interested to do one in the future? What was or what is your main goal when conducting a virtual exchange? And how did you design the activities in a virtual exchange program? So what were the tasks and activities? So I think there are a lot of people with some great experience here in our meeting today. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So let me get you into breakout rooms and sorry. Okay. Right, we're almost ready. All right, here you go.
Hello.
Really pick up on, but fair enough.
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you for the reminder that the meeting is being recorded. That's helpful at this stage. Yeah, it's worth giving some thought to that as well. But that said, the models that we provided, they cover lots of really useful and important practical issues in setting up a virtual exchange. Things like giving thought to what resources you have available to you, the location, the kind of tasks you'll be doing. We talked before about motivation and information gap. But it is important, as Levi mentioned as well, that you have that kind of the pre-task, the task and the post-task. The pre-task, we're preparing our learners for this exchange, and also that there's space afterwards for reflection. Eric, I've just seen your comment about, yes, the issues around things like color schemes, text backgrounds, accessibility, absolutely, very, very important to be giving consideration to how things appear on a screen and how they might appear also on a student's device. Remember, a student, if they're maybe accessing on their phone, that could look very different layout-wise from how it looks, say, on a laptop. That might also have implications. One other aspect of virtual exchange that we didn't really touch on too much, maybe because we don't want to go too political with this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's fair to say that study abroad opportunities, kind of face-to-face, study exchange programs, by and large, are really more available to people who have the money to travel, and that isn't everybody. And I think it's great if you can open up opportunities for exchange that don't actually involve having to fly anywhere. It's not just the cost of travel, but it's also things like time. If you simply don't have 2 or 3 weeks available to do like a full-length exchange project, much less a full semester to do an exchange project. And I'm thinking here about, for example, adult learners who might be parents or might have caring responsibilities, and even younger learners who might be parents or have caring responsibilities. These are real issues and real potential barriers. The other thing I think that's great about virtual exchange, and particularly the way that Levi presented it, is the fact that there's historically been a way of viewing exchange in language where, if this makes sense, it's about the learner visiting L1 target language speakers' home countries. So the best type of language exchange involves visiting the UK or the US or Australia. Of course, there's no reason why that should be. The vast majority of our learners, who are L2 learners of English, will probably in their working lives be using English with other L2 learners of English. The vast majority of those conversations will be between people who are L2, English speakers, who are learners of English. There is a whole world out there of English learners who all have interesting things that are worth saying and worth sharing. Absolutely, English as a lingua franca, this is where the future of the English language is. Absolutely, I agree with that. And I think one thing that's nice about virtual exchange is that it challenges this kind of, I suppose, the hegemony of the L1 countries when it comes to saying this is what a language exchange should be. A language exchange should be when you visit the UK or the US. Well, actually, why should it? There's a whole world out there of very interesting people with interesting things to say that are worth learning from. That's really important. I think in the past, it could be that access to opportunities to learn English and practice English in, say, the UK and the US are important as kind of, they're a way of kind of purchasing sort of social and cultural capital. And what's great about virtual exchange is that it's actually relatively easy to make it possible for everybody to access social and cultural capital in a much wider variety of ways. I don't want to politicize the conversation too much, but I think it's really important that we reflect on this, about how virtual exchange can make it possible for more people to benefit from the cultural capital that intercultural exchange can offer. And one final point I wanted to make on intercultural exchange is that, again, I think when we think about what learners get from virtual exchange, again, maybe there's been a sense that this is about kind of, it's about what you learn about the other culture. But I think it isn't just what you learn. It's also the way that you develop skills and competencies and qualities. This isn't strictly speaking a language learning thing, but empathy, for example. Building empathy is a skill that will, and a quality that will set learners up for life, whatever they do, whether that's in their first language or their second language. Virtual exchange is a great opportunity to develop empathy. Not to mention the general ability to, to reflect, to practice critical thinking, to start imagining how their culture might be viewed by somebody else, to bring some critical perspectives in. These are all very important aspects of what learners can gain from a virtual exchange as well. Not just simply that they end the lesson having learned about another country, but more importantly, that they've started to empathize with people who maybe see the world differently, that they're able now to reflect back on how their culture and their way of thinking might look to others. They start to see, okay, actually, the way that I view the world isn't how everyone views it. That's a really important thing as well. So I wanted to introduce those dimensions of virtual exchange into the mix as well. I hope that's useful, but otherwise just to say thank you once again, all of you, for your interesting contributions in the breakout rooms, and thank you to Levi for a brilliant presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard, for that wrap up. You gave me a lot to think about. So yeah, I'm excited to go do a virtual exchange with someone now. So now I'm going to hand
Right.
everything over to Rowan to wrap us up for the evening.
Okay. We would like to thank you all, guys, and thank you, Rich, for this insightful presentation. Thanks, Ms. Levy, for this wonderful presentation, and we are very happy to see you all, guys, and we are looking forward to see you more in the upcoming and every month's talk. And I'd like to share with you the feedback link. It would be a really great opportunity for us to hear your comments and how do you think of the meeting, of the talk. And thank you so much.